So the mature athlete, part 2, let's dig into the second component. We've established a really good mindset, perspective, relationship with the sport. But how should you evolve your training? That's the second big part of it. Because the truth is, for any mature athlete, what worked for you in your 20s is radically different than what your body needs now. And that's good news. Because all of the years that you've done, and Claire, in your question, you outlined that you've been in the sport for give or take 22 years. And all of those years of training are not going to physiologically evaporate. You've got this amazing foundation. And it requires, a little bit like nurturing a garden, it requires a little bit of nurturing and addressing and refilling. But it's not going to crumble. You've got this great platform to build from. But now I recommend that you begin to get smart. You evolve how you approach the sport from a training standpoint to your needs and your physiology now and for the years ahead. And so for you, Claire, it's worth noting, you are also 42 years of age, as you outline. And so not only have you got this foundation of really good fitness, but now your body demands something else. In addition, you've got a second component of consideration specific to you and women like you in your profile. And that's the fact that you're 42 and you are either right now or just about to over the coming years going to enter effectively what is a second puberty, and that's perimenopause. And this has a layered impact as well that locks together with where you're at as a maturing athlete, but also demands a shifting approach so that you can navigate the years that you're going to be going through perimenopause the best way possible to offset many of the symptoms and side effects and help you perform and thrive, not just in sport, but also in broader life. And so these two things come together, the mature athlete, perimenopause, and it demands a shift. And so I'm going to give you a few tips. Now, we're going to do a whole show on perimenopause, but I'm just going to give you a few tips for male, females, doesn't really matter, for approaching training for the mature athlete, okay? The first, and this is the important part, is an underfocus, a diminishing focus on big endurance work. It's okay to do some, all right? There is some over distance and longer distance training that's okay. But the truth is that in your current situation, long, slow distance or endurance work globally is not going to provide the same return on investment that it did when you're in your 20s. It's just the truth. It doesn't give the same physiological stimulus. It's not going to give the same ROI. And so while you can have some, it shouldn't be predominant, the first thing that you put on your training plan. So we're going to de-emphasize endurance. It doesn't mean that you're going to lose resiliency or your capacity to race really, really well. But it's not the first thing. It's not the foundation. In fact, your foundation is the other end. Your foundation of your training should be, and I can say it in a single word, strength. Strength and conditioning is a critical, non-negotiable component. What does that mean for you? Well, first, building your training program, Claire. I can't pretend to build your training program on this show right now, but I would say that the first thing that I would put on the week is at least 2, if not 3, very specific high-load strength training sessions. That's the first thing. That is your bullseye now. Even though you're getting ready for an endurance event, strength is first. And then you wrap, in your case triathlon, swim, bike, and run sessions around it. So right at the heart of it, it's a shift in approach, it's a shift in your mindset. You don't do swim, bike, and run, probably some long-distance training in there, of course, in each of those disciplines, and then say, supplementary, yeah, I'm going to do some strength. It is, I do strength, and then I do some endurance work around it. Okay, so that's a radical shift, but that is absolutely the driver for you becoming the best that you can be in the sport and also in life. The third component is of the swim, bike, run, and any other type of modalities that you do, of that type of cardiovascular training, You want to at least once or twice a week focus on very high intensity, getting your heart rate up to threshold or above, hopefully with repeated intervals, and driving that high-end physiological capacity. Once a week minimum, maybe twice a week. So suddenly you think about key training sessions, 2 strength workouts at least, if not 3, 1 or 2 high intensity workouts, and that's it. That's really it. Surrounding that is some supportive work and a touch of endurance. And that's such a radical shift than if I was working with an 18, 19, 20-year-old, 25-year-old to say, okay, let's build the miles, let's build the foundation. We need to get the body ready. We need to build up our metabolic efficiency and all of these components. It's a radically different approach. And it's going to be really powerful for you. It's going to be fresh. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be different. Okay? A second component of training is a little bit more abstract, but I actually think is really important. And it's ignored, but I think there are really powerful benefits, particularly for mature athletes. And that's staying connected with others. It cannot be a lone wolf journey. And for maturing athletes that perhaps have a broader and even deeper purpose on why they're doing this, the more that you can take on this journey with others, the better the results are going to be. The more enjoyment you're going to get out of it, the faster you're going to go. If you can have systems of support and accountability, not just that you can draw from others, that you can provide to others as well, it becomes more meaningful. And in fact, I would even, Claire, thinking about your situation with all of the experience that you've got, what about an opportunity to actually mentor someone else, where that's going to help you get beyond yourself and why you're doing it, but actually provide a little bit of meaning. You're going to help others benefit. And you know what happens quite often when you give the gift of wisdom, expertise, mentorship to others? You receive. It's true. And it often drives, I've seen it many times, your own individual performance. And so as you think about this, you've got this radical shift of training structure built around strength. And then my second recommendation on training is to actually get out and engage. Get a system of support, maybe in your local community. Maybe you become a part of a team like Purple Patch and you engage with others, you provide support, you do some mentorship. And I'm not talking about coaching others. I'm not saying, hey, you need to go and start coaching. But you can get a friend to say, I've never done a 5K. Great, do a 5K. Come on, let's do it together. Or try and help, whether it's kids, whether it's others, along the journey. As a part of Purple Patch, we have a lot of highly engaged, very busy, time-starved people that work in our private community that we have, our hub as we call it, providing counsel, support, wisdom to their peers. And it's not paid, it's that they're giving the wisdom of their time in the sport. And those are the athletes that are actually receiving a ton, that end up having a great experience, that have that deeper meaning. And so shifting your training to helping others can really, really be helpful. And so if you are for the ground up building your training program, let's just come back to the core training, because I'm sure you want to say, hey, how do I actually do it? Here's how I would do it, as I talked about. Strength training at least twice a week. High intensity, very, very demanding, at least once or twice a week, probably twice a week. I would then think about where am I getting my mobility work, my balance, my coordination. So overall athleticism, you want to keep that engaged. Then I would add in some really, and you've heard me talk about this phrase before, soul-filling, easy endurance, so shorter sessions that are conversational, fun, when I go for my run with my dog Millie and listen to my podcast, that type of stuff. And then finally, at the most, once or twice a week across the 3 disciplines, doing more classical endurance training or work that's building up our muscular resilience, our longer distance stuff. Once or twice a week at most. That's it. That's your training program. Okay? And then finally, under the training section, is something that I alluded to a little bit with the relationship of sport. I touched on this, but get smart with your training. Just become a better athlete. This is a huge opportunity for you. I'm sure you've heard me talk about it in this show, but Become better at terrain management when you're running, when you're riding your bike. Try and yield more speed from your fitness. There isn't a better example of this than what I've just witnessed over the last 12 months, where we integrated our new video-based bike platform. You've heard me talk about it. And we have had, and it's honestly true this, countless people in 50s, 60s and 70s get faster. Actually get faster. They're becoming better bike riders. This is some powerful stuff, and it's a huge opportunity. So if you're only stuck in the mindset of chasing fitness, power, you're facing an uphill battle. But if you say, all right, I'm going to do everything I can to retain this, and I'm going to make sure that I don't slow down and lose too much power and I stay strong, but now I'm going to use it more in a different way, in a smarter way, you go faster. Do you remember my friend Joe? He got faster because of it. Now, this is a guy that played in the NFL. He was very fit, very powerful. And that from 49 to 56, he got faster in 5K, 10K, half marathon, half Ironman, Olympic distance, everything. He got faster. He didn't get stronger. He didn't get more powerful. He used his fitness more. And so I hope that helps from a training standpoint. Now, I should say at this part of the answer, Claire, for you and anyone else that's listening that's in a similar situation, it's probably worth you doing a deeper dive here. And so, Claire or anyone else listening, it's probably beneficial for you to set up an individual coaching consultation. Because one of the things that a Purple Patch coach or myself can do is help you frame all this and really get granular to create a strategic plan and all of this stuff. And so feel free to reach out to us, info@purplepatchfitness.com, if it would help you. We're happy to set aside 30 minutes, 60 minutes, paid consultation, create the roadmap ahead. I think you'll find it really beneficial.